Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Royce, Lavelle E. Neal. Sid Hartman says, hey, if Sandy Koufax ain't going to pitch, I'm not coming in.
I'm not going to do
He
TV.
is okay. He is fine. But,
well,
God bless him.
Physically, the man is fine.
We were just talking before we went on the show. NFL,
People
Sunday
could
and
change.
NFL. Lavelle, you're a big Bears fan.
Oh, yeah,
I thought the Bears gave the Vikings the game plan. I said, if the Bears can do that to the Colts, the Vikings are going to beat them.
Right.
It didn't work that way.
Oh, it did not. It did not. And, I think Pagano, the head coach there, is in the right track trying to get some things organized with his team. And Andrew Luck, he found spots in that secondary. I mean, the Vikings are going to have to address that as they go through the season here. But, the Bears tore up that secondary, but the Vikings couldn't do it. And they had a chance to. They couldn't stop.
Freeney.
No, they didn't have Freeney. They had Mathis, though. I think Mathis gave Khalil some problems during the game. But, they had a chance to make some stops late, but Indianapolis was able to kick a field goal at the end of the game.
Anyone who got too excited about the win over Jacksonville might want to check Blaine Gabbert's numbers from this Sunday. Jacksonville was absolutely horrendous, and you got to, except for a very fortunate last little drive and a 55-yard field goal, the Vikings would have lost at home to this team. So I think that tells you all you got to know about the Vikings.
Well, that was the thing.
Yeah, I mean, even today, these were not two good football teams playing each other. These were two teams that they both played kind of not to lose and hope that something would go well.
Gabbert went 76 yards in 30 seconds in the fourth quarter at Minnesota.
That was all he did.
That was, when the chips were on, when it was time to do something.
This was such a big game for the Vikings from the standpoint that now all of a sudden you go, when's the next one coming, right?
That's right.
It ain't going to be next week, I don't think.
San Francisco's a mean team.
Yeah.
Playing Detroit even as we speak.
Yeah.
It's probably halftime, so you can stick with us right here.
Stay with us.
That's right.
But San Francisco's mean and nasty defensively, and I don't know. The Vikings might want to try to be a little more creative at the start of games. That's 2 weeks in a row that they came out vanilla as could be and didn't really do much. I mean, Ponder's numbers once again. This time they hit their real funk. They had that real funk offensively to start last week. This time it kind of came in the middle of the game. They had a funk for about a quarter and a half. And, Ponder's numbers end up looking pretty good, although he could have thrown an interception right on the goal line there that would have officially lost.
And one in midfield, too, by the way. But the other thing is, in talking to the Vikings in their self-analysis, you see why Jerome Simpson was worth the risk, because they got nobody that can go downfield, Lavelle.
No doubt. They need that deep threat. And that's why they're waiting for this guy to get online so they can start throwing the ball to him. Hartman could probably be the deep threat, but my goodness, they already got him all over the field now. What else?
I tell you what, man, he is a football player, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I mean, I had to watch, it was hard for me because I was trying to come up with a way to describe a rare Twins loss to the White Sox. So I wasn't watching every play, but when I did, every time I looked up, Hartman was doing something.
But, he caught 12 passes. When you throw 12 passes to Hartman, your numbers should look good because they're all
coming across underneath.
They're like Fran Tarkenton used to throw to Chuck Foreman.
Yep.
Boom, boom, And that's why you can't get excited about Ponder's completion percentage. When you're throwing 4-yard passes to Percy Harvin and he's turning them into 12 yards, it's not quarterbacking excellent. Tarvaris Jackson could have done that.
Also, it was too big of a celebration over Blair Walsh kicking another 50-yard field goal. This is the first time since, what was it? I can't remember which kicker it was. It was like a big celebration because they hit a 50-yard field goal in back-to-back games.
Well, I'll say this, at least he looks like the real deal.
He does, actually, yeah.
I would have thought I like Longwell a lot, but this kid looks like he's got ice in the veins.
Boy, fellas, I spent a lot of time watching NFL Red Zone. On a Sunday afternoon. They are bombing field goals from all over the world this year.
Really? I don't pay attention.
Yeah, well, Vinatieri, he's
automatic.
38 years old, and he kicks at 53, but they were bombing them. Who missed one today to lose the game? New England. New England missed one to lose the game
Arizona
today.
they lost to.
But beyond that, they were bombing them. Everybody's making 50-yarders.
Well, they're looking for these big legs now, so they kick the kickoff out of the end zone.
That's almost an automatic now, it seems like, doesn't it?
It's disappointing, but teams are starting to run those kickoffs back. If they catch it 5 or 6 yards in the end zone, they're still running it out.
Well, that's because they've moved the kickers back, so there's more, there's more room to navigate. So I don't know if you move them back again. I don't know.
The kids seem to be worried about head injuries, and understandably so. But they really have tried to kind of water down those kickoffs with where they're kicking off from, and they've reduced the number of players in the wedge, and they keep doing different things to limit the contact.
In fact, to your point, in your paper today, that's an interesting article about Wally Hilgenberg and his brain and all those
Mike
things.
Azuba did a piece on going back to Wally's family. They donated his brain, and I think the people at these concussion centers, brain, centers, for want of a better word. I sound like Sid when I say that, but I think they're trying to convince people that what a crisis this is, and they probably would say maybe it wasn't ALS, maybe it was this, and I don't know. I don't think there's.
So you want to take the helmets off of him?
He certainly looked like an ALS victim when I visited him. So.
I visited him as well, but it sounds like it's the ones that aren't concussions that they're concerned about. I'll tell you what, they're not going to get their arms around this thing and figure it out scientifically in the next few years. This is going to take a long time.
There's this story in ESPN magazine about Jim McMahon, because he's really starting to go downhill a little bit.
So I hear.
Yeah. So,
and I see he got into a little bank fiasco there too.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
He might have chosen to. I know nothing.
That's right.
It's funny. Last night I watched the Chavez Martinez fight, and you watch boxing, you watch baseball catchers. There's certain sports that can't give concussion checks. What if you started giving a baseball player a concussion check every time he took a hard foul ball off the mask? You got to have catchers. You can't play the game without a catcher.
Yep. Take a break. A lot to talk about. Stay with us on the Sports Show. What a meal. My mouth waters when I see it. Locally owned, nationally known J.D. Hoyt's. Not far from the Target Field, not far from the Metrodome. Oh, man. Talk about a landmark in Minneapolis. That is J.D. Hoyt's. Welcome back to the show. We were talking about officials and obviously replacement officials, in this case for the NFL. A few years ago, Patrick, you made the comment, and I think we all agreed when we watched the Gopher women go on the run to the Final Four, that when that whistle blows, you had no idea what the call was going to be.
I've always said the biggest problem with women's basketball is they get the third string officials.
Yep.
The real guys work the big time, work
big
men's
money.
basketball. And then they get who's ever left over in women's basketball. The officiating is horrendous. And they don't give the gals credit for anything. It's all traveling and carrying the ball and all that stuff. But these guys, they got so many people talking to them now, telling them when they screwed up a call, that it's not so much screwing up the call, Lavelle. It's what are you doing? What are you doing? How can you look at that Michael Vick play? Did you see that?
No, I did not.
I didn't.
Yeah. He goes like this, and the guy calls it a fumble right at the end of the game on the 1 yard line. It could have been, and if he hadn't called it a fumble, he should have called it intentional grounding. And then they would have moved from the 1 to the 16, and they would have lost the game.
Yep.
But when you go to review it, you don't look for the penalty.
Yep.
You just look. But it's just a complete mess, and these games are taking 3.5 hours because it takes these idiots 8 minutes to decide whether the ball's at the 26 or the 27.
Yep.
But when they were using the A-list referees, we had problems with them blowing calls.
But not this.
No, it's much worse. But I'm saying you couldn't expect them to do just as good of a job. I remember watching the Ravens and the Bengals game. The Bengals completed like a 25-yard pass in the first quarter. I know they ended up getting blown out. And the referee comes over and says, incomplete. And the ball was clearly caught, and he was clearly tackled, and nobody objected.
And that's the other thing. How many times they have to consult with each other. My God, every other play, all of them are running. Oh, yeah, there's big brothers trying to keep them from screwing up.
Here's the one that I don't understand. Today it happened. The Vikings got flagged for it. It was roughing the punter. I guess, because he did make contact with him, but it was like this. Yeah. And I guess that's an automatic, huh?
No.
Well, isn't it running into the kicker? You get 5 yards, and then
But it's a first down.
No, but I think they changed that, didn't they, guys, in the NFL? It's either roughing or it's not. I don't know if the running.
They're at 15 yards or nothing, huh?
I don't sue me if I'm wrong, but I think they changed it.
But you see this, and
why would they change that?
And even when Jared Allen got it, and it was, he did tackle him out of bounds, but you're here, this guy's going there, and by the time you finish, there's really no other way to finish,
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and the other one that drives you crazy is helmet to helmet. Yep. Running back is running at you, and he lowers his head. Now you're already down. You're getting ready to tackle. He lowers his head to where you are, and the defender gets the 15 yards.
Yeah, automatic.
I don't know. It's that their rules are screwed up. But what these guys have, when we saw them in the exhibition games in the first, like the opener, they were scared to death to make a call. Now they're like a bunch of crazed rent-a-cops. They got some power and they're just crazy.
Well, that was that teleconference. They said you can't be afraid to make a call.
Oh, now they're just like a bunch of
racing
drunken
each other.
sailors on shore leave, man. Alive.
Or Saints fans.
Yeah, right.
How about that? They removed a referee from a game today. He was supposed to call a Saints game, and someone went on his Facebook page and found out he was a big Saints fan. He was dressed up in Saints gear at a pregame tailgate like in August. And they're like, oh, we better not have this guy reference game.
So when they fly somebody else in?
I guess they had a backup
don't apply
there.
that to Big Ten baseball.
Yeah.
You ever been
yeah.
Big Ten baseball? A few local guys that want to come back the next week and umpire. Here's an interesting one. I don't know the answer to it for sure because I didn't check on it. I understand our friend Sid Hartman, absent tonight, had a very lively and spirited discussion yesterday after the Gopher game on the elevator ride down with one of the people that was watching the officials. At least that's what I heard. I heard some accounts of it.
Well, Roy Tutt could write a book about the time he's been verbally abused in the press box.
But they do the review for the spot of the ball, and while they're looking at it, they realize Minnesota had 12 men on the field. Okay? So they flag him for 12 men on the field.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. I never knew. I mean, once you review, can you only review? I guess not. You can find another infraction in there?
I thought when you have to... The ruling on the field is a catch.
That's the NFL,
and you're supposed to see if it's a catch or not.
The worst rule.
We need to get Steve Hurwitz in here.
Wow, I never heard that
in
before.
Sports is that college football doesn't have a limit on reviews. They just go on endlessly. Yep. Remember when they were going to speed the game up?
Yep.
Now that they don't stop the clock for as long as you go out of bounds and stuff. Well, now they have about 18 minutes of reviews every game.
And you tune in and it's 3.5.
Yeah,
they can't get under 3.5 no matter how hard they try.
because they're reviewing every play.
Yep.
Wasn't there a conference that allowed reviews like even after the next play was run? Like there was a couple of times. Recently, there was a questionable play, and then the team actually had run another play, and then they said, "Hold on, we're gonna go back and review that other play."
Anybody see Shanahan today?
No, what did he do?
He was this close to a complete aneurysm with the blood rushing out of his head.
Really?
His face was as red as a beet. He wanted to kill them all.
The referees?
Yes. Oh, he was just crazed. He was so angry, and he didn't know who to scream at because every play there was a flag, and then you tried to figure out who the hell they were going to call something.
One final point, and that's respect, because you even saw the Vikings special teams coach getting in the face of an official.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a no-no in the past, but now that these guys are fair,
And plus, the players say anything they want after
anything
the game.
they want.
And I don't think they fined them yet, have they?
I haven't heard of any. Whether they keep that quiet, I don't know. Take a break, come back, Sports Show. Stop on by Carousel Audi and Porsche out there. You never know who you might bump into out there as well. Stop by and saw Bruce Bonine and Mr. Hansen this last week. Boy, they got some great vehicles, and they don't last long. No, they don't. Got 2 vehicles from them. Welcome back to the Sports Show. Lavelli Neal, Patrick Royce, Sid Hartman, recognizing a Jewish holiday today, not with us. We'll be back next week after the Vikings play the San Francisco.
Shows you everyone can change.
49. That was Lavelli Neal. If you turned up the volume to listen to exactly what was said.
I think, in Catholicism, we refer to the guys like me, the Christmas and Easter guys, as cheesters. Yeah. You're a cheester. Sid's the Jewish version of a cheester, I think.
I won't say, but he did say today that someone had passed away and he said he goes to the same temple as I, and the guy had been around for a long time. He says, at least I think he does. So that tells you he's not, the Minnesota Twins, you've today 9-2, the last that I saw after that 6-run outburst. What is it like out there on a daily basis when this team is so far out of it and has been for so long, and you've got all these kind of, inferences about coaching staff and guys from Rochester up? What's it like?
Well, the last couple of days I've noticed that the foot is off the accelerator. The couple guys started showing up later than normal. Guys,
little things,
little things like that. More laughter. Guys are like, it's the end of the year. We can't change the season around, so let's just try to play respectfully.
Let's try to get those 3 wins. We still need 3 wins to avoid 100. That's the goal, 2 years in a row.
That's right. So the Guardians
4-14 against the Whiteys. Whew.
The manager's been pretty. Funny and engaging the last few days, because I think they all see the light at the end of the tunnel or the end of the train wreck or whatever you want to call it, so.
This is funny, though, because the 8 guys beyond the pitchers, they're not bad. You know, I mean, that's not a bad lineup they've got.
No,
to be this bad just because
gets
your rotation,
inconsistent.
but it tells you what your pitching is.
Yeah, it just gets inconsistent. They go out and score 19 runs one day, and then they can't score a few days, for a few days after that. And then they were banged up this week against the White Sox. The one thing you brought up about atmosphere, it's been weird because some of these home games, the plays going on, pitches, balls being put in play, but since the crowd is down about 10 or 12,000, you're not hearing reaction to just regular plays. You just hear that same murmur, throughout. I couldn't even tell if I had my head down writing. Sometimes you look up and you go hear a fan like, whoa, but like guys were making outs and nobody was saying anything about
Revere's catch the other day might have got some applause.
That was a heck of a catch. He put it in his top 10.
Okay, I got a question for you. If the White Sox had their choice between the lefty Quintana or Scott Diamond, who would they take?
I think Quintana. I think they've been real happy with
Quintana.
Quintana.
So, in other words, the Twins do not have one starting pitcher that the White Sox would put in their rotation.
No, they have Frankie.
Fact,
They have Frankie.
You got Frankie's now their 6th.
Yeah.
So you got your best starting pitcher would be the White Sox 7th starter.
There you go.
And
the
that's all you
story.
got to know. They were 4-14 against them.
Yeah.
And that's after going through a bunch of rookie pitchers this year. You had 11 used by July. And
What'd you think of Francisco yesterday?
Yeah, he had everything working.
Nothing surprises you, does it?
No, you've seen those flashes from Frankie when he's just been amazing. Like that's the guy that everybody buys
It's
into.
almost comical to watch because you've seen it. And, you
saw it coming.
He'll be back in the pen, and then he'll be.
The slider was like strike 1, change up strike 2. I'm like, oh no, here we go. And then he's striking out guys. He only walked like 2 and hit a batter.
So they're not going to spend money on pitchers. So what the hell are they going to do? What are they going to do?
It sounds like they're going to try to make a trade for someone during the offseason.
Yeah,
but Span is their best trade chip.
Yeah, and Span's.
Unless they try to package Span with a prospect and try to get someone.
But tell me honestly, we've seen most of their prospects come through.
Yes, you have.
Who is it that you would dangle? It has to be from the lower minor leagues at this point because we've seen all the prospects that we thought would be prospects.
You got the 2 AA outfielders,
Arcia and Hicks.
Arcia. Yeah, they'd give you somebody for one of those.
When they were talking to Seattle a couple years ago, Hicks came up in the conversation, but Hicks also was injured at that time. So I think they're willing to do whatever because, a scout told me that Jeremy Guthrie may get $10 million a year through free agency.
Isn't that something?
And he's horrible.
He couldn't win a game for Baltimore. He's got a live arm.
Yeah, the price of average pitching is about $10 million a year. And so with the Twins, trying to get an ace is unrealistic, but they've got to get 200. They got to get 1 or 2 200-inning guys just to set the rotation up for the Dedunos and the Diamonds at the back end.
I talked to Baker and Pavano a lot last week, and obviously they say this because they don't know what their market is either because nobody can make an offer. They both really want to come back to the Twins, what they say, but obviously nobody else has made them an offer. Do you think they'd be a worthwhile investment at a reduced rate?
I say they should bring back Scott Baker.
$2 million?
I think he would distragree. A low base salary with incentives. The thing is that he's come back from Tommy John, so he's going to be on an innings restriction.
Yeah, we have the new. Strasburg has set the new standard for how many innings a guy coming off Tommy John can pitch.
See, I like Baker a little bit more than Patrick does.
You get 130 innings out of him, and you got to shut him down.
So Baker had a 3.14 ERA before he was injured.
Pavano.
I would not sign Pavano. I think he's getting a little too old, and his fastball's down to 87 miles an hour. He's been looking for ways to figure out why he can't throw as hard. I think
if I was a good team, I'd take a run at Pavano and put him in the back of the rotation.
He would be your 5th, but the Twins have 3-4 guys ready for the 5th spot already.
Take a break, come back. Hey, join Bar Abilene for happy hour weekdays 4 to 7, Saturdays and Sundays 2 to 7. Happy hour specials include 2 for 1 on drinks, $2 off food item. Wow, they got good food there, too. For more information, isn't it? Visit barabilene.com or find them on Facebook. Wayne Kostrowski, very busy this NFL season.
The Star Tribune took one of those informal surveys that you just go click who you want to be the Gopher quarterback.
Oh, no.
Marquise isn't doing well. It's
what is
about
he, 4th?
2-1 for Shortle.
I thought he might be 13
2 to
by now.
behind Philip Nelson. Yes, that's not exactly what Marquise
Marquise was behind Philip Nelson?
No, but
I don't think Philip Nelson was on the list. You get a high ankle sprain,
no, that's the one thing we've learned. You're going to shut her down.
The Gophers have time to make this decision because Marquise is going to be out for a while. Then you can evaluate Shortell over more than just one game against Western Michigan before you start anointing him.
But
that's the savior.
The one thing I'll say that they did well last year was they played Shortell enough so that when he walked into the game was no big deal.
He does throw the ball well.
Yep, throws the ball.
He throws the ball well. He's a statue, but he throws the ball
You
well.
wrote about A.J. Barker. I mean, this amazes me, this recruiting in football. He, the Engel kid that transferred from Winona State, there's so many walk-ons that excel,
You know what I said? You know how you last 33 years as a sports columnist? You write a column on A.J. Barker and his brother on Saturday morning, and by 12:30 he scored 3 touchdowns.
That's a good way to do it, isn't it?
Magic.
Not only that, but
Magic.
you screwed up your whole staff. They were all out there. They wanted the Barker angle, but they couldn't write it again.
It was gone.
It was gone. NHL lockout. Talked to Matt Cullen yesterday. I mean, nobody is surprised, and nobody's in a hurry, and nobody thinks this is going to happen anytime soon.
I don't see it until maybe November, December.
November is what they're talking about.
You know, because the big thing is, I heard something the other day that they've already have like several $1 million in ticket sales for the Winter Classic. And so the one thing you don't want to do, they're not going to screw up the Winter Classic, but they also want some games to be played before they get to that.
The NBA wanted the Christmas. That was their big thing, and these guys want the Winter Classic.
But, you know, people say, well, the Wild had all this momentum. Sort of the Timberwolves last year. Fans forget right away once they start playing. You're going to miss some games, but the fervor will be just as intense whenever they start because they've been waiting so long.
In the good hockey towns like here.
In the good hockey towns. But last year they sold out the Target Center as soon as Rubio got to play, you know, even though there was a lockout because they don't hold that team accountable. Lavelle, thanks for coming by.
My pleasure.
You bet. Patrick Royce will be back. We'll do it all again next week right here on The Sports Show. Have a good week, everybody.
Miss you.